Before we get too far into the countdown of my top 10 2023 movies, I gotta say, this is not a top 10 list of every movie that came out in the year of 2023 because I haven't watched every movie. I still plan on watching The Blind. I still plan on watching The Covenant. I still plan on watching Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and I still plan on watching Sound of Freedom. So, with that out of the way, this is not the top 10 movies made. This is not the top 10 movies, period. This is the top 10 movies, in my opinion, that I watched in 2023 and in the order that I feel they belong. 10 to 1. After that open rolls, I'm going to break them all down. Whether it's your first time here or you're a regular here at Mr. Super Oz, I just want to thank you for tuning in to the channel. It exists because I, Oz, from the channel Mr. Super Oz, I wrote a 68-page graphic novel called Everlasting Survivors. Volume 1 is called All Day Long. If you follow the link in the description of this video, you can get yourself hats, shirts, posters, all kinds of fun things. But most importantly, you can get the story itself. And the more people that pick up the story, the greater the chances are that there can be continued adventures with these heroes. If you could, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment, enjoy. For people who have been here all year, or beyond even, a lot of these movies will be clear and understandable. Hey, you did a review of it for the channel, gave your grade in the end, and that's how you feel. But on the upside, not every movie I watched this year got a channel review. I watched Peacock's Genie, I watched Bert Kreischer's The Machine. I'm pretty sure I watched a handful of other films that did not get the current critique review for the channel because I just don't record a video for everything I watch. Sometimes you just gotta watch stuff and enjoy, or attempt to enjoy if it's not good. The thing is that number 10, it pains me that it was at the bottom of my favorite movies of the year because its predecessor, Shazam, was my favorite DC Extended Universe movie, period. And Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, was not my favorite movie of the year. It was I don't know, it was somewhere between fine and good, but it wasn't, it lacked something that the first film had. It just didn't have that oomph to it to me, where the first one just hit on all cylinders because it was very focused primarily on Billy and Freddy. And this one is disjointed and all over the place, focusing on multiple villains with different motivations, not on the same page, and even the heroes come in and out of powers a little too much for my liking. But with 10 out of the way, let's move on to number 9. That is a entry from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A lot of folk on the internet have talked badly about AntMan and the Wasp Quantumania, but I thought it was fine. Somewhere between fine and good. It was not bad, that's for sure. And I really enjoyed Jonathan Majors' performance as Kang, and the idea of the Council of Kangs, much like the Council of Reeds, when they all get together and they're, plotting their future events. It's a perfect setup for a villain to take them all out and even take over the plan if that's the route they choose to go. Because, I mean, personally, I think that should be the route they choose to go, because recasting Kang to somebody else, it just. What it does is it further emphasizes the not having Jonathan Majors around anymore. Whereas if you were to have a villain, or even a collection of villains, take out the Council of Kangs, or that collection of Kangs, I think it would be better in the long run. Number 8 was the last movie put out on the channel for the year of 2023, and it was a very good movie. It took a while for me to understand who was the primary character and what was happening, but the number 8 best movie of 2023, in my opinion, was Jesus Revolution, and I'm very appreciative of Andy from the Drivetrain channel joining me for that review, and I look forward to him returning and speaking about additional movies as time goes on, because it's one of the main things that the channel does here. And yeah, it's well executed and very interesting in the way that it tells the story and makes many characters feel like their journeys matter. Number 7 of the year is Super Mario Brothers. This movie was the first movie I saw in theaters in the year of 2023, and while it had a lot of the issues for me that movie going has, people talking, folks playing on their phone, chewing, all the hallmarks of the things I don't enjoy, it's not the movie's fault that people are inconsiderate when it comes to other people being around. And so with that, it still makes the top 10, and Super Mario Brothers was very enjoyable. The last movie in the back half, and before we get to the top 5, is another one of those movies that I watched and didn't do a review on. I didn't want every movie in the top 10 of the year to give it all away, to tell all of the people that were already here what they were going to hear me talk about. And so number 6 is a movie called Old Dads from Netflix. It stars Bill Burr, and it is very surprising in execution. It felt like everything that The Machine wasn't, which means, so I didn't really care for Burt Kreischer's The Machine. I thought the movie was good when dealing with the story, and so in the flashback sense, but anytime Burt was on screen, I was like, buddy, you do way better in the voiceover work and not so much the acting. Whereas Bill Burr, being the star of this film, is the right call, and it's not just, casting a comedian in a role because they are the comedian that conceived of the idea. And so yeah, I thoroughly recommend Old Dads. I feel like it's very fun and enjoyable. So entering the top 5 movies of the year according to Oz, we begin with the third movie in a trilogy, and this trilogy is the continuation of one of my all-time favorite franchises, that being Rocky. And that means Creed 3 is number 5 in the best movies of the year. The performances by both Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors are so good. Unfortunately, it seems as though Majors will not be getting the spinoff that I had proposed. with Brandon and Josiah, where we'd follow his character and Drago's son on down the line to see where their lives got taken. But even for him just to show up the one time, I'm fine with it because this movie was, top 5 of the year. Number 4, we go right back to the superhero genre that has often showed up on the channel. And the number 4 movie for me of 2023 was Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It kept and expounded upon the weight of the storytelling that had been within the series throughout, whether it be Peter's mom passing in the first one or his father figure dying in the second. And it's amazing that they were able to keep the weight up even with not killing a known character, because everybody, or it seemed like everybody on the internet, assumed death was imminent when the movie was announced. Most people presumed it would be Rocket Raccoon because the trailers made it seem like he was the focus. But the upside, the fun thing, is he didn't die. We did learn why he is so desirous of people's body parts, like, oh, I need that guy's arm and that person's eye and things of that nature. But we also understand why he's so standoffish to other characters, because he doesn't want to get close out of fear of losing the people. It's very... I don't think there's a bad Guardians movie in the bunch, and this one was just as great as the first two. The number 3 movie for 2023, for me, Blue Beetle was the shock hit, the home run that I never saw coming, because the trailer set me up thinking that I was not going to be a fan of especially George Lopez, but because of his verbiage, it made me apprehensive that I would not be a fan of the rest of the film. But I was pleasantly surprised to find out that it wasn't necessarily him saying Batman's a fascist, but him letting the audience know that this character has trust issues. If it had been established in the trailer, I probably would have gone to the cinema to watch it, because it was this insult that was thrown to Batman that made me not want to go watch Blue Beetle, the movie. And then, shock of all shocks, turns out I'm a big fan of the movie. It was just poor choices when it came to constructing the trailer to try and bring me into the cinema. Speaking of cinema, the number 2 movie for the year of 2023 is the second movie I went to the cinema to watch in 2023, that being The Iron Claw. It was almost never in doubt that I would enjoy this film, given all of the rich history that is expounded upon within the film, and it being on a topic that I'm a big fan of. I mean, so much so that one of my superheroes in my 68-page graphic novel, Everlasting Survivors, is a professional wrestler, so it's not really the shock of all shocks that I am a big fan of a movie that tells the story of a family of pro wrestlers. I'm just glad that it was done well and is a great movie. Here is the thing. Speaking of wrestling, there are a couple of famous names. Bobby the Brain Heenan and Jesse the Body Ventura. They both had these sayings they like to say. Jesse said, "Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat." And Bobby the Brain Heenan would say, "If you're not cheating, you're not trying." The reason I bring this up is because on my top 10 countdown for the best movies of 2023, Oz. Well, I cheated when it comes to the number one pick because I struggled with what I thought was number one so much that I don't just have one number one, I have 1B and 1A. So, 1B for the year of 2023. So, the number one, the movie of the year, in my opinion, was much like Blue Beetle, a thing that surprised me. Because when you put on the genre tag horror, you're not often going to get me enthralled. But this movie wasn't horror or explicitly horror. Nefarious is my 1B movie of the year. It is a well executed psychological thriller with amazing performance by Sean Patrick Flanery, specifically giving me memories or flashes of Heath Ledger's Joker, and also bringing to mind the performance from Split, the main character or main actor playing multiple roles and just doing it oh so well in making everything distinct and setting itself apart. And so now that 10 through 1B are done, we gotta talk about it. The 1A movie for me that came out in 2023. If you were here on the channel when Brandon, Josiah, and myself, we all talked about Air, A Story of Greatness, you will know that I said it was perfection and that it would take a big feat for any other movie of the year to dethrone it in my mind as far as being better executed, because it hit so many spots that mean something to me. The motherly love, the man who believes in his choices when he says this is the right call, we've got to do it this way, that being Matt Damon in this story. The friend who has faith in you, that being Ben Affleck towards Matt Damon in this. So many pieces of this puzzle just fit right. Like even the nostalgia of the story, which is weird because I wasn't alive when this story is happening, so it's not exactly as though it's a specific nostalgia for that actual time, but the way that they execute the movie was just done in such a way as to help the viewer relate to the characters, and I'm a big fan, and that's why Air, A Story of Greatness got my 1A spot for 2023. And I love that this countdown of the best movies has persisted. Last year I only did 3. I did Best Comedy, Best Action, and Best Overall. But I kind of like the more as opposed to less format, because I did enjoy a significant, not insignificant number of movies this year. And I look forward to seeing how things play out in the year of 2024 when it comes to not just movies, but the channel in general. And, then when I count down 2024 movies, how will I do it? Will it be, a top 10, a top 5, just the best 3? How will it go? I don't know, but I look forward to seeing how everything plays out. Thank you for tuning in. Come back next week and enjoy.